President Maxwell caught the implication. Are you saying that our stabilization technology, the very systems we installed to protect ourselves from seismic instability, are interfering with them? Exactly, replied Li Na. The geoseismic nodes, the atmospheric overlay infrastructure. The entire system we developed to dampen and disperse the extreme fluctuations of the Earth's core energy. That network, designed to prevent the planet from self-destructing decades ago, is now creating a gigantic field of energetic noise. Their dematerialization weapons cannot cleanse a signal so noisy without self-destructing. And their extractors cannot connect to a core that is constantly being modulated and filtered by our own technology. To them, we are the equivalent of a permanent magnetic storm that nullifies their delicate instruments. A murmur of astonishment and a strange sense of pride rippled through the room. Earth did not possess a conventional shield, but rather an inadvertent defense, born of humanity's own ingenuity and need for survival. Their resistance was not an act of direct war, but the byproduct of their very existence and technology. Then what will they do now? Asked General Kim Kolsu of North Korea, his eyes fixed on the alien fleet. They have failed in their initial methods. Will they leave? On the main screen, the unknown fleet began to reorganize. The ships adopted new formations, and an ominous glow different from the previous ones emanated from the flagship. No, answered Roberto Fuentes from Mexico City, his voice tinged with terror. A force like this does not withdraw. If they cannot harvest cleanly, if they cannot clear the field with delicacy, then they will burn the field. If the interference is us all our life and our technology, then what comes now will not be extraction. It will be total, indiscriminate annihilation. They no longer seek purity. They seek silence. And they know that silence can only be achieved by eliminating the noise at its root. The momentary relief vanished, replaced by an even colder, deeper fear. Earth had survived the first assault thanks to a technological peculiarity, by being too noisy for the enemy. But that same peculiarity now guaranteed apocalyptic fury. Chapter 10, The Unexpected Wall. Location, Low Earth Orbit, KRTAC Vanguard Fleet. Time, immediately after the KRTAC attempt at annihilation. The calm on the bridge of the Supreme Dreadnought Star Devourer had shattered. Emperor XYLR, Admiral Vale, and General TH Rack watched the screens with growing frustration. Lord Scientist Zarkin, his manipulators flying across the controls, struggled to find an explanation his cold logic could accept. Persistent anomaly, Emperor, cried a tactical officer. The focused annihilation pulses are destabilizing upon contact with Earth's atmosphere. 97% energy dispersal. No significant surface damage. Admiral Vale roared, impossible. Our delta-phase weapons pulverize moons. How can such a primitive atmosphere withstand this bombardment? Zarkin interjected, his voice taut. It is not the atmosphere, Admiral. It is the same interference network that thwarted extraction. The terrestrials possess no weapons capable of stopping us, that much is true. But their planetary defense systems, designed for other threats, are creating a resistance field. Their shields against high-energy nuclear strikes, their networks of advanced seismic compensation, their underground pulse-dampening infrastructures, all together, they generate an energetic resonance layer that disrupts the coherence of our own pulses. It is like trying to strike a target with a beam while the space around it is saturated with unstable magnetic fields. You are saying their preparations for war against each other are what is stopping us, growled General Th Rack, disbelief thick in his tone. An absurd coincidence. A coincidence with dire consequences for our mission, General, Zarkin corrected. Our delta-phase technology requires a clean energy environment to achieve pure dematerialization. Earth, with its interconnected defense systems and its constant emission of biotechnological noise, is an energetically saturated planet. Any attempt at annihilation from orbit generates unacceptable feedback into our own ships, or worse, is absorbed and harmlessly dissipated by their passive defense. Emperor XYLR rose, his imposing figure casting a long shadow. His eyes gleamed with a dim and dangerous light. Then we cannot burn the field. We cannot cleanse the surface from a distance. And we cannot extract dark energy. This world, which the Galactic Council offered us as a resource, is worthless for harvesting. The interference is too dense, Emperor Zarkin confirmed. To access the dark energy of this core, or to efficiently remove that interference, we would require direct interaction. Our sensors indicate that the emission points of the terrestrial counter-frequency waves come from underground control centers and vast energy networks distributed across the planet. Cleansing would require disabling those nodes specifically. A calculating silence descended over the bridge. The KRTAC hegemony would not withdraw. Their need for dark energy was absolute. But Earth, with its unexpected resistance, had forced the most relentless force in the galaxy to change its plans. Lord Scientist, HFY began, his voice low but filled with renewed menace. Prepare the assault units. If we cannot purge this planet from above, we will do so from within. We need data. We need to understand this interference. And then, we must erase it. Send in scouts. Not to destroy, but to identify the key points of their noise and dismantle them manually. Let it be a contact operation. Let the insolence of this world cost them every meter of their soil. Admiral Vale and General Rack exchanged glances. A ground assault was inefficient, costly, and far from their standard doctrine. But the Emperor's will was law. The KRTAC would not retreat. They would adapt. And Earth, unknowingly, had just won a battle only to prepare for a far more personal and brutal war. Chapter 11, The Rare Fortune. Location, South American Joint Command Center, Underground Complex No. 7, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Time, minutes after the invaders' second failure. The initial relief at the failure of the second alien assault did not last long. In the crisis room in Buenos Aires, the air was still electrified, but now with a new understanding of the situation. The unknown fleet, though momentarily thwarted, had not withdrawn. The screen showed their immense ships, static but ominous, in orbit. General Vance from Washington leaned over the map table, observing the projections of the failed impact points. Their weapons didn't destroy us. Their drills couldn't penetrate. It's as if the planet has an immune system. And it does, President Lina confirmed from Beijing, with a strange mixture of awe and gravity in her voice. Our teams have finished processing the data from the second attempt. The reason their annihilation pulses failed is the same reason they couldn't extract the energy, our global energy stabilization network. President Solis nodded, looking at the other leaders through the screen. The very infrastructure we designed and perfected in the middle of this century. The geoseismic nodes, the atmospheric overlay infrastructure, the counter-frequency plants we built to prevent the instability of our own core from destroying us. The Global Non-Extraction Treaty not only prevented us from exploiting that energy, but forced us to focus on its neutralization and damping. We are being protected by our own medicine, murmured Lady Eleanor Finch. We prepared the planet to resist self-destruction, or a large-scale nuclear war, and unknowingly created a shield against a galactic invasion. It's a cosmic irony, added Marshal Kuznetsov from Moscow. Our preparation for the worst among ourselves is what has saved us from the unknown. But it is not an active shield. We are not attacking them, we are simply existing in a way that disrupts them. General Sharma frowned, the brief euphoria fading. And they already know it. The latest reading from their flagship shows massive reconfiguration. They haven't left. They're planning something else. If they can't attack us from space or pierce the crust, what will they do? Land? A chill ran through the room at the word. General Kim Kol-soo from North Korea, with his usual stoicism, was the first to respond. If they attempt a ground assault, our response must be immediate. All our forces, all our military resources, must prepare for the defense of the surface. General Vance activated a series of tactical maps, showing the military defenses of each nation interconnected in a global network. We've gained time. Time we didn't deserve. But that time will be used for combat preparation without precedent. We've confirmed we cannot face their energy weapons at a distance. But if they decide to descend, the rules change. Mobilize all heavy infantry units, armor, and long-range artillery. Reinforce the key cities and critical infrastructure centers, ordered Lina, her voice now filled with cold determination. Our conventional air defense systems, though ineffective against their disintegration weapons, may be effective against assault craft entering our atmosphere. We need to know what their exploration units look like, if they decide to send them. President Solis stood, his gaze firm. Our priority now is twofold: protect our people in the deepest underground shelters, those designed to withstand extreme seismic events or large-scale impacts, and prepare our forces for the battle to come on our own soil. Each nation with its best strategies. If they must fight for our planet's energy, we will make every inch of this world hell for them. The crisis room filled with the sound of leaders' confirmations, the clicking of keyboards, and the murmurs of technicians. Earth had not been chosen for its military strength, but by an irony of fate. But if the invaders wanted its energy, they would have to fight for it on the only battlefield where humanity, miraculously, had a chance. They had prepared for the worst among themselves. Now, that worst had arrived from the stars. Chapter 12: The Call to Unity. Location: South American Joint Command Center, Underground Complex No. 7, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Time: hours after the invaders' second failure. Late 21st century. The dim light of the South American Command Center reflected off the tense faces of the world's leaders. The decision had been made. There was no longer time for panic, only for truth. President Solis stood before the main screen, which now no longer displayed tactical maps but the unified emblem of the United Nations. It was time to address the world. Citizens of Earth, Solis began, his voice resonating with a mixture of solemnity and unyielding determination, broadcast to every corner of the planet. In the past hours, our world has faced an unprecedented threat. An unknown force, from deep space, has arrived in our solar system. Global screens displayed images of the immense alien ships, alongside simplified graphics of the failed pulse and drilling attacks. Solis continued, with President Lina from Beijing and President Maxwell from Washington joining in a simultaneous multilingual transmission. They have attempted what we perceive as a disintegration attack. They have attempted to access the energy of our planet. And they have failed. The initial shock in millions of homes and shelters gave way to a faint murmur of hope. They did not fail because of our traditional weapons. They failed because Earth, and the very technology we developed throughout this century to protect ourselves from our own catastrophes, created a defense. Lina took over, her tone clear and firm. Our geo-energy stabilization systems, designed to dampen extreme seismic movements and shield life from the fluctuations of our own core, have interfered with their technology. To this force, our planet is too energetically noisy. Our cities, our communication and energy networks, even our very biological presence, generate a static that their weapons cannot pierce to the surface. Maxwell continued, the gravity returning to his voice. But they will not leave. They have proven to be an unrelenting threat. Their objective is the energy of our planet. If they cannot take it cleanly, they will attempt to eliminate what prevents their access. This means the next attack will be a direct and total attempt at annihilation, likely with landings on the surface to disable our defense networks through massive assaults on specific territories across all continents. Therefore, humanity now unites in a single defense. All evacuation protocols to deep underground shelters are at maximum activation. Those very bunkers, built to withstand the worst geological disasters or conflicts among nations, are now our first line of defense. Those who can must head for the great mountain ranges and continental plateaus, where the landmass provides additional natural shielding. Coastal zones and wide plains are at the highest risk. Our military forces, from every nation, are mobilizing. We cannot face this force's technology in space, but we can defend our soil. Ready the anti-air defenses. Close the skies. Every inch of this planet is now a battlefield. This is humanity's most critical hour, but also the hour of our greatest unity. We will defend our home. We will defend Earth. Location: Galactic Council Star Chamber. Time: shortly after the transmission to the nations. The silence in the Star Chamber was heavy with concern. Projections showed Earth, now shrouded in a faint layer of defensive energetic activity. And the KRTAC fleet remained there, static, but radiating imminent violence. High Counselor Zadek felt the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. The offer has proven ineffective, his voice tense. The KRTAC have not been able to cleanse the surface. Earth's interference has proven far more robust than they anticipated or than we ourselves anticipated. Counselor Crane nodded, his expression grim. Our analysis of the battlefield's energy transmissions indicates that Earth is using a vast network of counter-frequency nodes and field stabilizers that neutralize the invaders' weapons. What we dismissed as discarded data and noise has become a formidable barrier. Counselor Eshka shifted anxiously. Then our stratagem has failed. All we have done is provoke the hegemony. And now, the planet we handed them is an obstacle they cannot overcome remotely. What options do we have? If the KRTAC cannot take it, will they turn against us with greater force for having deceived them? Zadek closed his eyes for a moment. The hegemony's reaction is unpredictable, but they will certainly not retreat. The KRTAC do not abandon a dark energy objective. Not when their system has confirmed the source exists, even if it is currently inaccessible. Ambassador Kromlar spoke in a grave voice. We must prepare for the worst, a direct assault by the KRTAC against the galactic core, in case Earth proves to be a trap or a dead end. Or, interrupted the young diplomat Solari, his voice trembling but firm, there may be an opportunity. If the KRTAC are frustrated, and Earth is a barrier to them, could we mediate? The hegemony values efficiency. A full-scale ground assault would be inefficient and costly for them. A communications officer appeared as a flickering hologram at the center of the chamber. High Counselor Zadek, we have received a transmission from the KRTAC fleet. All present turned, the tension palpable. Would it be a declaration of war against the Council? An ultimatum? Put the transmission through, ordered Zadek, his voice taut. The cold, synthetic, and authoritative voice of the KRTAC fleet system filled the star chamber. Emperor HFY demands immediate communication with High Counselor Zadek of the Galactic Council. Chapter 13, The Frozen Confrontation. Location, Galactic Council Star Chamber. Time, immediately after the demand for communication. The hologram of the communications officer dissolved, leaving only the synthetic voice of the KRTAC system resonating in the silence of the star chamber. Emperor HFY demands immediate communication with High Counselor Zadek of the Galactic Council. The message repeats 3 times. Zadek, his heart tightened by tension, nodded. Connect. Full audio and visual. The chamber darkened for an instant, then the central space filled with the imposing figure of Emperor HFY. Behind him, barely visible in the shadows, stood the forms of his Science Lord Zarkin, General Th. and Admiral Vale. HFY's face, normally impassive, showed a cold irritation, an expression he rarely displayed. High Counselor Zadek, the Emperor's KRTAC voice was deep and devoid of any warmth, a mere mechanical vibrato. Your so-called offer turned out to be a deception. A waste of time and resources for the KRTAC hegemony. Zadek stepped forward, his posture firm. Emperor HFY, I assure you there was no intentional deception. The information on Earth's geoenergetic fluctuations was accurate according to our data. That world's ability to interfere with your extraction and purge technology is as much a new discovery to us as it is to you. Admiral Vale advanced a step, his sharp voice dripping with contempt. A discovery? What kind of incompetence allowed you to hand over such a contaminated resource? This planet is a pit of noise, incapable of being purged by our standard methods, and inaccessible for remote harvesting. You have wasted the hegemony's time. Admiral Vale, intervened Science Lord Zarkin, his voice more analytical. Zadek's assessment is plausible. Our own analyses confirm that Earth's interference is not an active defense against us, but rather a byproduct of its planetary stabilization technology. They have modulated their core for survival, creating an energy pattern that disrupts the coherence of our long-range operations. It is coincidence, not conspiracy. Emperor HFY raised a hand, silencing his subordinates. His gaze returned to Zodek. Coincidence or not, the fact remains. Earth is unusable with the methods foreseen. Our need for dark energy is absolute. You were given the opportunity to grant us access to that resource. You have failed. The young Solari dared to speak. Emperor, the Council deeply regrets this unforeseen situation. Perhaps we can seek an alternative solution. Other worlds, other resources. No, Xylar's voice grew more powerful. Earth is the current point of focus. Its energy is of a type and magnitude that interests us. The hegemony does not retreat from a validated target. My fleet is now forced into an inefficient change of strategy. A chill swept through the chamber. The Council understood the implication. If we cannot cleanse the surface from orbit, Xylar continued, nor harvest the resource remotely, then we will do it the old way. We will deploy assault units. They will locate and deactivate the nodes of interference manually. They will eliminate the source of this noise on foot if necessary. And then, the resource will be harvested. Ambassador Kronlar spoke in a tense voice. Emperor, a ground assault, that would mean the indiscriminate annihilation of a civilization. Galactic law. Galactic law does not apply to the will of the hegemony in the harvesting of vital resources, replied Emperor Xylar. Besides, you yourselves handed us this world without caring for that civilization. Do not now pretend to be concerned with life on that planet. My objective is to secure the flow of dark energy. If that requires the eradication of an energy plague, so be it. I inform you, Counselor Zodek, so that you cannot claim ignorance. Your inefficacy has brought us to this solution. Prepare yourselves for the collateral consequences of this noise. The communication cut off abruptly, leaving the Galactic Council plunged into an icy silence. The truth was undeniable. They had tried to take a shortcut, had underestimated Earth, and now they were about to witness the hegemony's brutality, amplified by its own frustration. Zodek closed his eyes, his face gaunt. They had believed they were buying time, buying the life of a world. Instead, they had guaranteed a far bloodier battle and an inevitable reprisal against themselves. Chapter 14, The Strategy of Descent. Location, Command Bridge of the Supreme Dreadnought Star Devourer, K'Artak Vanguard Fleet. Time, hours before the assault on Earth. The Grand Emperor Xylar stood before the projection of Earth, a pulsating blue orb that refused to yield its secrets. The silence on the bridge, after the tense communication with the Galactic Council, was heavy, filled with the restrained frustration of the K'Artak High Command. Their infallible logic had collided with an inexplicable obstacle. Lord Scientist Zarkin, the Emperor's voice was a low, dangerous hiss. Once again, our remote purge methods have proven ineffective. Our primary extraction nodes have been rejected. The plan of focused annihilation has dissipated without success. Explain, once more, the nature of this terrestrial interference that defies the logic of the hegemony. Zarkin activated a series of complex holographic diagrams, layered over Earth's map. Emperor, Admiral, General. The energetic noise of this planet is not an active military defense against us. Our analysis confirms that the terrestrial civilization, approximately half a century ago in their chronology, began developing a vast network of geoenergetic stabilization infrastructure. These structures, Zarkin continued, highlighting specific points across every continent with a beam of light, were built to dampen the extreme fluctuations of dark energy naturally emanating from their own core, and to protect themselves from their own weapons of mass destruction. The accumulation of their biological and technological activity further contributes to this energetic saturation. For our dematerialization systems, accustomed to operating within a void of noise for precise function, Earth's field is an incomprehensible torrent of static. Attempting remote purge is inefficient and potentially harmful to our own ships. It is like trying to restructure a perfect melody through a deafening cacophony. General Th Rack approached the projection. And these static networks, are they concentrated anywhere? Yes, General, replied Zarkin. Our system has identified the main control centers and emission nodes of this network. They are strategically located at points of high tectonic activity, dense population centers, and the hubs of their energy and communication infrastructure.